Hey, what's up guys? This is Jake with Casual E-commerce, and in this video I'm going to be walking you through step by step how you can create a Snapchat ad campaign. So we're going to just go ahead and jump right into it. Now this tutorial is going to apply to whatever types of ads you're trying to run. So whether you're in e-commerce or whether you're trying to run ads for a local business or an affiliate campaign or anything like that, the creation process is pretty much the same thing. So the first thing you're going to have to do is head over here to forbusiness.snapchat.com. So if you go to this URL right here, you're going to come to this page here, and I'm going to just go ahead and create a new account and walk through step by step the process that you'll be going through. So if we just come down here to create an ad, we will go ahead and get forwarded to the sign up screen here. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my information here. Alright, and then once we get to this point, we just need to go ahead and create our business account. So you just enter in our details here, and then hit continue. And now once we are inside of the Snapchat Ads Manager, there's a few things we need to do first off. So I'm going to obviously be showing you how to go through and create an ad, but first there's one thing we need to go ahead and do. So we're going to come up here to where it says create ads and hit this drop down right here, and we're going to come and hover over where it says Snap Pixel, and we need to set this up first so that way we can go ahead and set up tracking and measure our conversions throughout our campaigns on Snapchat. So this is pretty much the same thing as the Facebook pixel, if you're familiar with that. So we're going to just click create Snap Pixel, and then we're going to click set up. So what we need to do here is, you can see it's going to say add the pixel to the website, and then it's going to be copy the pixel snippet between the head tags. So this is pretty easy. Now if you're doing this on a Shopify store or a WordPress site, no matter what type of site you have, it's pretty much the same exact thing. We're just going to be throwing this in our header. Now most of my viewers do e-commerce, and that's what I do as well. So for this example, I'm going to be throwing this inside of a demo e-commerce store. So we would come down here and hit copy to clipboard, and then I'm going to open up an e-commerce store here. So this is inside of Shopify. I'm going to click online store and wait for this to load up, and then I'm going to go to actions and then edit code. Now like I said, if you're inside WordPress or anything like this, you're just going to want to go to your theme files and find the header. So inside of Shopify, I'll just go to theme.liquid right here, and then here is the opening head tag. And if we scroll down, you can see the closing head tag. So we can put this either at the top or the bottom. I'll go ahead and put it at the bottom right above the closing head tag, paste it in and click save. And then once this saves, we are good to go. So if you're using Shopify, that's how you do it. If you're using WordPress or another CMS, you just paste it right in the header just like that. It's the same exact process. And then we can head back over to our ads manager and hit finish. And sometimes it takes a little while to go ahead and update. So if you refresh, you'll see that it'll probably still tell you to set it up, and that's because it takes a little while for it to update. So if you come back to this page later on, it's going to update and you'll be able to see all of your tracking and stuff. Now, for the next step, we're going to go ahead and actually start creating an ad. I'm going to show you how to do that. So now we're going to go ahead and go back over here to Snap Pixel, because now once our once our pixel is set up, we can go ahead and start running ads. So you can see that the Snapchat Ads Manager is a lot simpler than the Facebook Ads Manager, if you're familiar with that, which means that if you're familiar with Facebook, you'll probably have a pretty easy time running ads on Snapchat. So under business settings here, we can add our billing and payment methods, and we can go ahead and create different ad accounts. and set up different business details. So this stuff is pretty much self-explanatory. We don't really need to mess with that. So what we're going to be doing is creating an ad. So I'm going to click right here on create ads. And there's two different types of tools we can use. We can use quick and easy or advanced. And the quick and easy method actually gives you a lot of control. So that's what I'm going to be showing you how to do in this video. So we're going to click quick and easy. And there's a few different types of ads, and if you hover over each one, it will go ahead and give you a brief description. So the most common type of ad on Snapchat is the snap ad. So these are the ads that are going to appear in the middle of people viewing, whether it's different stories, whatever snaps they're looking at, after every certain amount of time or, certain amount of snaps they've seen. An ad's going to show up. So that's what the snap is. It's just the basic ad that's like, they've watched a few stories and then here's the ad. The story ad is the ads that show up in the discovery feed. So if you're on Snapchat and you open up the discovery feed where you can see all of like your friends' stories on the top, and then if you scroll down, that's where you'll see all of the paid advertisements. So these can be effective as well, but snap ads are going to have the majority of impressions. So this is the one we're going to be creating in this tutorial. However, each ad can be useful. So the next type of ad is a collection ad. So this is pretty similar to a snap ad, except it just allows you to highlight a specific collection. And the last type of ad is a filter, and this is more so used for brand exposure. So if you're a local business or you have a client that's a local business, the filter can be really effective because people in the area will be scrolling through and they can see the custom filter that you've went ahead and created, and they can put it on their stories and stuff. It's more so for brand awareness, so it's not really something that you do where you can track an ROI or anything. It's just purely brand awareness, so it can be beneficial for local businesses, but you're not really going to be doing this for like e-com stores and stuff. So in this video, we're going to stick with the snap ad. So now we're going to go ahead and get into the actual creative and start creating everything with the ad. So like I said, if you're familiar with Facebook, a lot of this is really similar. So the first thing we need to do is name our ad. So let's say that I was just creating an ad for one of these products in here. So once this loads up here, if I was creating an ad for the skin vacuum here, I could go ahead and just name this skin vacuum, like ad 1. And then the brand name is what's going to appear in the snaps. So you just put this as your company name. So whether you're a local business, an e-commerce store, whatever, you just want to go ahead and put your brand name in here. And then your headline here is going to be kind of like the same thing as the headline on Facebook. And every one of these things here, if you hover over it, you can kind of see what it looks like, and then you can also see a brief description what it is rather, and then you'll be able to see what it looks like when you start typing over here. So a headline for the skin vacuum could be this vacuum moves blackheads in seconds. And you can see right here that I went over the character limit here, so I'd have to go ahead and shorten it up. So I could just say maybe this vacuum removes blackheads. And then you can come down here to the snap pixel right here. So this is why I went ahead and showed you guys how to go ahead and install this, because we're going to want to be able to track our data here. So as long as you have the snap pixel installed on your site, then you're good to go, and you definitely want to have this enabled. Now the next option below here is shareable. So what this does is this enables people that are viewing your ad to go ahead and share your ad with other people. Now this is something you can split test. The majority of the time getting shares and free traffic is really good. I've heard some people say that sometimes the shareable button can sometimes lower CTR because someone might click the share button instead of the swipe up CTA. So this is something you can split test. However, it's normally a safe bet to go ahead and leave shareable on. Now, the next option here is going to be the actual media for the ad itself. So with Snapchat, there's two options. We can either upload our own media, or we can use Snapchat's ad creatives, like templates, to go ahead and create an ad creative for our ads. So what normally is going to work better is going to be a custom created ad. However, in this video, I'm going to show you how to briefly use the Snapchat ad creator, just because it's in here. And if you are going to go ahead and make an ad yourself, the easy thing is normally the best way to create an ad for Snapchat yourself is to just film, with your smartphone in like straight up and down, just like people would be looking at on Snapchat. And that's the easiest way to go ahead and film a Snapchat ad. And it makes it feel a lot more personal, because people are on Snapchat looking at other people's Snapchats and looking at other people's stories. So if your ad kind of looks just like another snap or another story, then it's more likely you're going to get a lot more extended views. So in this case, if you already have a Snap ad creative custom made, you can go ahead and hit upload. So whether you made it yourself or maybe you sent a product to an influencer and had them make it, you can upload it here, or we can go to create and create our own. So if you create your own, you can open up this little template manager here, and you can see that there's a bunch of templates. We can kind of filter it. We can filter it by objectives, and we can go ahead and scroll down here, and if we hover over it, you can kind of see how some of it moves. And you can see a lot of the templates look pretty nice. If we scroll down, let me try and find a template that would go ahead and fit our demo product here. So here's one that looks like it's for an e-com product. So I'm going to go ahead and just select this one and just kind of show you how this would work. So once you select the template, you can go ahead and kind of click on it, and then we can start editing everything itself. So we just got to wait for this to load up. And now it looks like we are loaded in. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this demo here just so everything kind of moves faster. And now you can see that on the left here, we can go ahead and kind of just go ahead and fill in our information. So the first thing we could do here is select the logo. So we could just go ahead and replace and put in our own logo. So let's say I just wanted to go ahead and put this logo in here. We'll wait for that to load. And once it loads in, you can adjust the size if you want. Center it. And then you can come down here to product frame. So we can go ahead and change the color. So you can see the product frame is this right here. So we could go ahead and change the color to pretty much whatever we want. So in this case, you would want to change it to the color that associates with your brand. So you want to go ahead and grab the hex code of your logo and put it in there. Now, for the sake of time and keeping this video kind of short, I'm not going to match the exact hex code. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it just to show you what I mean. But what you'd really want to do is get the exact hex code from your logo and put it here, and you can get that by just Googling hex code finder and uploading your logo to one of those sites. So the next thing we can do, you can see we can go to images here, and this is where we'd go ahead and just put some product images in. So you can hit replace, upload, and we can go ahead and upload some of these images. So we could go ahead and upload these images here. So I went ahead and uploaded one image. Now I'm going to go to image 2, and I'm going to replace it, and I'm going to go ahead and upload another one. And we're going to go ahead and wait for this to load in. And then I can go to image 3, upload another one. wait for that to load in. And if these images are a little bit too big, like it is here, what we can do is we can kind of shrink them and then fit them to size. So if the images are too big or too small, you can go ahead and shrink them and fit them to size to fit inside of the frame. And we could go ahead and do that with each one of these. And then we could just go ahead and upload one more image here. And let's say we didn't want to go ahead and use image 4. We could just get rid of it and then it's gone. But I'm going to go ahead and just upload one more image because I have another one. And then we wait for it to upload, we resize it, and we are good to go. So you can see that the editor is pretty self-explanatory. Once you get used to it, you just kind of pick a template and you kind of drag and drop. It's kind of like using Animoto for Facebook video ads if you used that before. And then down here we can go to text frame color. So this is the same thing as this. So we'd want to match that with the color hex code that we had earlier. I'm just going to eyeball it, but you definitely want to go ahead and make these actually match. So the next thing you can do is you can come in here to the product name here, and you can just go ahead and input your price. So let's say it's like 20 bucks, and then you could go ahead and just put like skin vacuum, whatever your product name is, fill that in, and then you can come down here to like the background image here, and if you don't want the ocean to be the background, you can upload your own background image, and it can pretty much be whatever you want. So let's say I just go ahead and upload this blank background here. As soon as it loads in, you can see that you can upload pretty much whatever you want. And then if I come down here and hit play, we can go ahead and preview what the different things go ahead and look like if we were to go ahead and fill out all of the information for every single one. So that's pretty much how you go ahead and use the creator itself. So you, like I said, you can go through and pick through different templates and everything. Now optimally, I would recommend creating your own ads, especially if it's an e-commerce product. You're probably going to want to actually have visual demonstration of either you or someone you send the product to actually using the product, and make sure you record it with your phone in vertical filming mode so that way it looks good on Snap. But if you're not able to create your own ads, you can go ahead and use these templates and play around a little bit more. Like I said, if I was actually creating this ad for real, I would spend a little bit more time on this, but for the sake of keeping this tutorial pretty short, I'm going to go ahead and just limit it right there with the functionality. So now I'm going to go ahead and close this out. And once you do already have an ad creative uploaded, the preview will start showing here. So the next thing we're going to go ahead and do is finish filling everything out. So the next thing we can do is attachment right here. So we can see that there's different options. There's website, video, app install, deep link, AR lens. 99% of us are going to be using website right here. So that's what I'm going to show you how to do. So you're just going to click website, and then right here we can select our call to action. So you just want to make sure that your call to action matches the action that you want the users to take. So, you know, like if you were selling tickets, make sure it's buy tickets. If you're selling a product, make sure you select shop now. If you're trying to get someone to read an article, make sure it says read. If you're trying to get someone to play a game or listen to a song, just make sure you select the correct call to action, or else your ad might not get approved. And then you just want to go ahead and put in your website URL. So if we were promoting this product, for example, I could view it, take the URL, and throw it in here. Now, the next features we can take ahead and look at are autofill. So you can see that this allows us to essentially collect lead information. And the next option here is preload, which essentially just loads mobile website content faster. So we can go ahead and check this on as well. And then we can come down here to our targeting. So if you're familiar with Facebook, you're going to notice that this pretty much looks the same. Now, Snapchat's targeting is not anywhere nearly as in-depth as Facebook, but it's still not bad. And if you're used to Facebook, then you're going to find this pretty easy. So the first thing is the country here. So we can see by default it starts out with the United States. We can go ahead and select a specific state if we want, so just Florida, and then we can see down here that shrunk our audience. But if we get rid of Florida, our audience gets bigger again. If we get rid of the US, we can go ahead and select another country. We can see we can't just target worldwide like you can on Facebook. You have to actually select the country. So let's say we wanted to do Canada, and then we can do the same thing in Canada. We can select regions, or we can go by postal codes, enter the postal codes, or we can go by the metros, or we can select like Ontario, different regions within Canada. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the United States. And then you can do the same thing here, select by postal code. So if you literally just want to target like one specific neighborhood, like for a local business, that's how you can do that. So you can get really targeted when it comes to the area inside Snapchat. For this example, I'm just going to go ahead and stick with the broad United States. So the next thing you'll notice is that the age ranges are a little different on Snapchat versus on Facebook. So on Facebook, you normally can go from 18 to 65 plus, but on Snapchat, you can see we have 13 to 35 plus. So that's as high as you can raise it. So just like on Facebook, you can go ahead and create different age groupings to go ahead and figure out which demographic is going to perform best. Now, if you already have demographical data from, other ad platforms like Facebook or Google, you can go ahead and figure out determine which age is going to work better from those platforms, and then go ahead and target them over here. So I could do something like 20 to 25. So like if I knew ages 20 to 25 and females, for example, were the most active buyers of my product on, say, Facebook or Google already, then I would want to carry that demographical data over here. Now, if you don't have any buyer data and Snapchat ads are the first ones you're running, then you kind of want to start running a bunch of different tests. So you want to go ahead and test out different age groups. So you can do really tight ones like 20 to 21 or 20 to 22, or like 20 to 25. I'd recommend probably sticking between 2 to 5 year age gaps, so like 20 to 22, 23 to 25. Just kind of stick within that range right there when you're creating different test ad sets. And then genders here, we can select whether our product's for both genders or male or female. And then down here, regulated content. This is if we're selling stuff like tobacco or like vapes or anything like that, where you have to be 18 or something like that. So you would check that. And then down here we have interests. So interest is very similar to on Facebook, except the one key difference is you can't do the hyper targeting or layered interest. So what I mean by that is you can, like, let's say on Facebook, how you can target someone that is interested in dogs and likes to cook. If I did that on Snapchat, if I layered those two interests, it would stack them together versus narrow it down. So on Facebook, I could have layer 1 be people that like dogs, and then layer 2 be people that like to cook, and then everyone in that audience would like dogs and like to cook. Now, if you do that on Snapchat and you stack the audiences, you're going to, instead of it narrowing it down, it's going to be people that like dogs or that like to cook. So it's essentially just going to be taking the two separate audiences and putting them together. So the majority of the time, you're going to want to stick to one interest per audience when it comes to testing out different audiences and finding your demographic on Snapchat. So there's a lot of different ways you can do it. So if you're familiar with Facebook, Facebook has like engaged shoppers. This is kind of similar. If you go to shoppers here and go into data, you can see there's like apparel shoppers, so people that like to buy clothing. automotive shoppers, children's products, grocery, money, personal care. So personal care might be a good one for the product that we're going ahead and demoing out right here. So that could be one. And then you can see it goes deeper: cosmetics, hair care, luxury, skincare. So that would be a good one. So I could go ahead and select that as one category, and we can see that I've narrowed down my audience here to 1.2 million people that are between the ages 20 and 25 that are female in the United States. So you can see that the interest is very similar to Facebook, and if you're not familiar with Facebook, it's pretty easy to use. You just want to go through here and you want to find certain interests that are going to be related to your target market that you're trying to sell your product to. So if you don't know who your target audience is, then that's kind of another problem in itself, because as a business owner, you need to know the demographic and type of people that you're trying to help with your product. So if you don't know that, that's a whole nother issue. So I'm going to just go ahead and assume that you know who your target audience is, and then you just want to go ahead and find different ways to find them. So this would be one targeting method I could test out for finding potential buyers for this product. Now, there's other ones as well. I could go into lifestyles and look for different types of things in here, and so on and so forth. So you can spend a lot of time messing around in the interest section, and you want to try and test out as many different interests as possible. But like I said, you don't want to stack them. You want to test out interest in separate ad sets. So now we can come down here and you can see that viewers, people that viewed different times of day of TV, people that viewed like home movies. There's a lot of different options in here. And then these are visitors, so people that visited certain places like banks, restaurants, entertainment, etc., etc. So there's a lot of different targeting you can mess around with, and I'd recommend trying to find as many different interests as possible that relate to your target audience. And then right here, this is custom audiences. So if you had custom audiences, this is where that option would show up. So this is where you could implement things like retargeting and stuff. So if you had custom audiences, which you can create using data that you'll gain from your Snapchat pixel. So once you have custom audiences, this is where you can select them. And then if we scroll down here and we just look at show more, now there's a couple other advanced things we can do. So right here, we can go to operating systems, and if we wanted to target only people on Android, we can, or only people on iOS, we can. And if we want to get even more in depth, we can go ahead and target people based on which type of phone they have. So we can only target people with, say, a BlackBerry, or with any of these different phones. You can see there's a bunch of different device options. So if we want to target people based on certain devices, we can. And then down here, we can target people that are on Wi-Fi or are on like 3G or 4G, their cell phone connection. And sometimes this makes a difference because normally Wi-Fi traffic is going to be a little higher quality because the connection is going to be more stable. So they're less likely to drop off in the middle of your funnel due to a connection error. So that's something you can split test as well. And then we have carriers. So obviously if you want to target people like specifically on AT&T or something, you could do that. All right, so now we're going to get down here to duration and budget. So this section is a little bit different than on other platforms like Facebook and Google. So on Facebook and Google, you can actually set your budget as low as like $1 a day. That's not something I recommend, but it is something you can do. But on Snapchat, the minimum daily budget is actually $20. It used to be $50, but they recently lowered it. And that's I think that was a smart move on their part because while I do like testing at higher budgets, it's faster. Sometimes if you're testing a lot of different campaigns at once, testing around $30 or $40 can sometimes you don't need to test at $50 if you're testing a bunch of different things. So you can see that 20 is the minimum, because if I go ahead and put like $5 or something, you'll see that it'll say ad set daily budget must be 20. So we can go ahead and set it at 20, and even if you do like lifetime budget, you can see it's still going to set it at a minimum of $20 per day, depending on the duration. So Normally I would just stick on daily budget, just like I do on Facebook. So down here we can go ahead and select a start date and an end date. You don't have to set one if you don't want. You can just go ahead and clear out the end date to have it run indefinitely. But something you should do is set the start date. So we could come in here, and if today is the 28th, I'll just go ahead and select tomorrow and then select time. And what I'll do is I'll select 12 a.m. And this is just because I want my budget to be spent intelligently. So like right now it's 6 o'clock p.m., so it's like halfway through the day. I don't want Snapchat to go ahead and blow through, like rush through my entire budget just to feel like they have to spend it all in half the day. So it's just something I prefer. I prefer to have my ad start at the very beginning of the day. So that's what I would do, and then have it run indefinitely. And then here we can select our goal. So this is similar to like setting up your campaign objective on Facebook. So we can go ahead and have impressions or swipe up. Now, I would recommend sticking with swipe up. So this is the equivalent of optimizing for like website clicks or website visits. And then down here you can see that we have pixel data that we can eventually optimize for. So once we start getting signups, purchases, added cards, or page views, we can change that to our goal instead. So once we actually start getting data on our Snap Pixel, we'll go ahead and optimize for what we actually want. But in the beginning, I would recommend staying at swipe up. And then we can come down here to the bid. So the bid strategy, just like most other platforms, there's an auto bid and a manual bid option. So auto bid is the easiest, and I recommend that for most people. Now, what we could do is switch over here to max bid. So we could go ahead and change this to as soon as we click in, you can see it's suggested based on the audience and everything we picked. So we could put in something like, I don't want to spend more than 40 cents per swipe up. And the cool thing about the bids here is, let's say I switch this to impressions and then I switch this to max bid as well. You can see that, let's say the minimum I want to spend is $2.40. For 1,000 impressions. Now, the cool thing about the max bid type of strategy is once we actually start getting purchase data on our Snap Pixel, what we can do is go ahead and set our bid based on our profit margin. So if we're selling a $20 product and the profit margin is $15, then we need to get ideally get customers for at least under $10, so we at least make like $5 profit. So if that was the case, I could set my goal as pixel purchase, and then I could set my max bid at say $10. But in the beginning, I would recommend just staying on swipe up and auto bid for the time being. And at this point, we are pretty much good to go. So if this is a brand new ad account you just created, like this one was here that I created for the video, you can see that we can go ahead and you're gonna have to put in your business address and everything, and then put in your payment method. But then once you've entered this once and you start creating more campaigns, this is gonna automatically be filled out, so you're not gonna see this anymore. And then we can see our details here, and then just like on most other platforms, your ad's gonna need to be approved, and you just need to go ahead and click create my ad. So with that said, guys, that's how you go ahead and create a Snapchat ad from start to finish, all the way from creating the account, setting up the pixel, and creating the ad itself. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions and you think I left something out, go ahead and leave that in the comments down below. And if you want like a separate video on actually a more in-depth dive on creating the actual Snapchat video creative itself, go ahead and let me know. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.